Good morning, everyone. Baruch Hashem. Today we'll start a new Siman, Siman Reish Samech Hey. We're talking about if you have a candle, a kli, and you want to put a vessel below that, or you're allowed to do it or not. So first is the concept. It's called mevatel kli meheichano. Means to say you have a vessel and you want to change the status before it was allowed to move it, and now you're doing it that it cannot moving it. So there's two reasons what's the problem with that. One is because it's considered like boine. Second reason is called soter, you're breaking it. And that's why mevatel kli meichano is forbidden. Yeah? So now we want to learn the first halacha. We're going to do Aleph and Beis, we'll see maybe we'll do Gimel. En notnin kli menukav malei shemen. You're not allowed to put a vessel that has a hole full of oil, and it has a hole. What happens with it? Al pi haneh kedei she'notef mitocho. Like this, it drops. And since it drops, we're afraid maybe gzeira. We're afraid maybe used to take with the finger. They used to take a little bit in the oil to smear themselves, whatever it is, till yistapik. So it's gzeira shema yistapik mimenu. V'yischayv, then they'll be obligated himself because mishum mechabe. Because really, by you using it after you designate for the oil, for the lighting, you take a little bit from it. So that's called mechabe. V'im chibrolo b'sid or b'charsit mutar. But if you connect it with glue, seed, or whatever it is, so then it's allowed. Why? The kevan shukli echod bodil minei mishum isur Shabbos. Since it's a one vessel, so for sure he's going to remind himself that, listen, why I did it. So it's one vessel. Since it's one vessel, so he reminds himself, like you don't read next to the candle, you also don't take the oil from the candle. In Mele is no problem of mechap, because the minute is one vessel, yeah. So then he's not, he removes his mind from it, yeah. Right away, the Mishnah Brurah says, even though some person says that stam kibu is not chiyuv chatos, it's only isur alone. But when it comes to what the mechabe, when you have a gzeira, yeah. But still, the main exam, that's why it's forbidden. The next halacha, lo yemale ke'ara shemen. It's almost the same concept. You shouldn't fill up a vessel full of oil, and you'll put it next to what? Next to it means that basically you have two vessels. That'll be forbidden. V'iten rosh haftilah b'toch, then he puts a wick. V'shish tiyeh he puts the wick over in one plate, and he moves it to the other plate. That'll be forbidden. The same gzeira Hashem is talking, since it's two vessels. We're afraid what? His mind is not really there for he doesn't realize that. And Mele becomes that what? Awesome. Now, what is the reason? Yeah. Yeah. So basically, if it's one vessel, a person removes himself from that. And if it's two vessels, so we're afraid maybe he's going to use it. And it's interesting, the Rambam says, what is the problem with the oil? The Rambam in the Shabbos, because the shemen is muktzah. The oil himself is muktzah. So the different reason. The oil himself is also muktzah, yeah? By the Mechaber says, B'shum Mechaber. But the Rambam says because the oil himself is muktzah. Yeah? It's interesting, it comes out, everything really depends on the mind. If you had in mind to what? To designate for the oil, for lighting, then it becomes isur. But if you didn't have it designated for the lighting, then the chol should be mutar. Let's see halacha gimel. This we're going to end today. And this is really the shalas mevatel kli meichon. So we said two reasons why mevatel kli meichon is a problem, or because of what? Of boine, or because of what of soiser. So here we're going to see what's the halacha. En notnim kli b'Shabbat tachat haner lekabel shemen hanotef. You cannot what take. You don't put a vessel in Shabbos below the candle. In order, whatever the oil that falls down, you should take it into the plate and try to gain it. Why? When you have a vessel, you're allowed to use it, and by you using it just for the oil, you're making that vessel to be forbidden. Says the Mechaber, you're allowed to give it what? When it was, when ahead of time, when it's too late. Vashemen notef. Then Vashemen notef. אסור להסתפק מדשם, but if the what? ומותר להם בעוד יום והשמן נוטף, ומותר לתנום מבעוד יום. That's one thing. והשמן הנוטף, but whatever the oil himself that drops a little bit, אסור להסתפק בשבש. You're not allowed to use it from Shabbos. Why? Again, the same reason. Or because muktzah, like the Rambam says, or because what? Is exera. Yeah? Or because it says, Mechaber. ואסור, says the Rambam, ואסור ליגע בנר הדולק, כשהוא תלוי, אף על פי שאינו מטל תלוי. You're not allowed to touch it. ואין בו משום מוקצה. בנגיע בעלמא. מכל כך אסור. Why? Because there's no muktzah, what's the point if you touch it? If there's no muktzah, what's the point you should not touch it? So it says over the soul, פן יתנדנד קצת מנגיעתו ויתה. So there is a big chashash, what? Maybe you'll remove it a little bit, and like this, it will be misnadeh, it will be moved a little bit, and he was, and again, when he'll move it to read from it, or then it's mavir, yeah. So mavir, that's what the Mishnah Brurah says. Or kasher chakyo yitchem mishum, or if you move it too much, it can be mechaber, you can take it out. So those are the reason that it's forbidden. What happens if you have ner shava, like the long candles, the old candles? Over there, l'chayr is no problem. So over there, you cannot say that reason. So l'chayr should be what? L'chayr should be mutar. Anyhow, let's summarize this halacha, because this halacha is like more practical. Let's see what's the. Let's summarize what it says. When you have Be'ikar Adin, we said, Levater Kli Mechon is forbidden. Yeah? And that's even the Kli Shemalachto Lisu. Even the Kli himself, the one, it's Muktzah on his own. Still, was the reason to say maybe Letzorch Mekom will be Mutar. The Allah says, no, since Mevater Kli Mechon, even Letzorch Mekom, it's also. When you're allowed to do it, yeah? When you're allowed to do it, if you have below a vessel, you can move it after that. Yeah? So then, agav, dovar amuto, then you move it also. Is another way how you could really do it. Yeah? If he puts the candle before Shabbos, below the table, and Shabbos after that, he moves it to the table. So it comes out that the vessel, yeah, still stands below the candle. Yeah? And that, even though it removes it, yeah, that's mutar. Why? Because you're not mevatel b'yodayim, you're not destroying it by the hand. What happened if you put it before Shabbos, the vessel, below the candle, in order to accept the oil? So to use the oil, you're not allowed, yeah? So if it didn't drop into the vessel, for sure, it's not mutar. But even if it dropped it, yeah? So then what? So then the vessel is forbidden to remove it, because already it's become Kli, so it's muktzah. What happened to use the oil? That's for sure we said we're not allowed. Yeah? What happened if it's not a candle of oil and you want to put a vessel below, then it's mutar. Because it's not considered Kli meichon. Yeah? But if you put it below the picham, that the wick, the black thing, that's also. What about touching the candle? So we're afraid maybe you'll remove it, like the Halachot says, maybe you'll, yeah. So the chayim should be also even b'ner shava, that we're not choshech, but the Halachot brings the ozorua that is even machmir b'ner shava. And the reason maybe you'll remove it, and that'll be also. Anyhow, I want to wish everyone a good day today, and all the best. Very good.